This is a gorilla. Your folks are both gorillas. You are a gorilla.
They propose revisions that always seem to involve less respect for the rights of free nations and less freedom for the individual. These matters would be difficult under any circumstances. They are further complicated by a trend in Western countries away from global engagement and democratic confidence. Parts of Europe have developed an identity crisis. We have seen insolvency, economic stagnation, youth unemployment, anger about immigration, resurgent ethno-nationalism, and deep questions about the meaning and durability of the European Union. America is not immune from these trends. In recent decades, public confidence in our institutions has declined. Our governing class has often been paralyzed. The American dream of upward mobility seems out of reach for some who feel left behind in a changing economy. Bigotry seems emboldened. Politics seems more vulnerable to conspiracy theories and outright fabrication.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets.
Now, as you may know, my running mate, Tim, is Catholic and went to Jesuit schools. And one of the things he and I have talked about is this idea from the Jesuits of the Magus, the more, the better.
Hello and welcome, everybody. We have another book reading today of the book Codeword Barbelon. We're in chapter 23, Behind 1,000 Masks, Loyola's Offsprings and Their Agents, under the subtitle Knights of Columbus. And Jörg Glissman is here with me from Belgium. Jörg, you there?
Yes, I am there, Brett. Thank you for the invitation. And before you even go further with your introduction of the video, what's coming, I want to let you know that during last week, I told you yesterday, I think off the record, that I got a telephone call from somebody in Germany who was watching one of my videos I did with my Dutch brother, Perry Winkel. And that he was listening that, and that because of I said there that I'm a wine merchant, he just took the effort to look me up through the internet, find my telephone number, called me up and talked to me. And after that, then we talked over Skype for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, the very first time. And today we called again because he had a few questions biblically he wanted to share my answer on. And why am I saying this? Well, because he also follows the reading of Codeword Barbelon, because, of course, I told him that you are uploading this first to your channel.
Wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
he wanted me to let you know, first and for all, Brett, that there are also people in Germany watching your uploads and videos.
Great.
And second of all, he wanted me to tell you that you have a very nice, sympathetic, and rustic voice. Calm, controlled, and that it is really a pleasure to listen to you speaking.
Great.
And
that's just wonderful to hear that.
Yeah, and I think it is wonderful to hear that from somebody else, because that is what I told you, in other words, in our private conversations. When I told you, Brett, stay away from book readings because you suck at it, but when you speak freely...
That's good.
When you speak freely, you have a wonderful voice and you explain things just great, and it is just nice to hear you speaking.
I'm finding that to be very encouraging, because I was thinking about this last night. I'm much more of a writer than I am a reader, Jörg. That's the point.
Yeah, so everybody has its talents, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry for being so frank and calling you out.
No. That's good. I like that about you, Jörg, is you're very frank, and that's something that is, kind of rare sometimes. I don't know, depends. But, I like people that are frank and straight up, no beating around the bush or nothing.
Yeah. With those people, you know at least what you get, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No hypocrisy. Huh?
That's funny. I was looking that up the other day there. I had just uploaded your video on Behind the Dictators,
Mhm.
the two videos in one. And I was looking at that last night. I was just thinking about, because hypocrisy came from Greece again, was it?
I'm
Wearing the
quite sure it
masks,
did, yeah.
going to theater. Yeah, wearing the masks and going to theater. And just think of, when we're just little children, we're taught to, Santa Claus is coming and all this BS,
Yeah.
And, it really does horrible things to a child, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
It does. But yeah, that's part of growing up, part of, just dealing with the family and going through the motions of everything. And yeah, everyone's got their own experiences, and best thing to do is encourage them to start doing projects like this, Yerk, and exposing the get down to the real truth, because there's only one truth that will save us, and that's Jesus. And that's hard to tell people. They don't really know what to think of that, especially if they've never heard it before.
Mhm.
Hard to tell someone that. But the Lord really has to tell them alone. That's the point. The Lord's got to call them out. All
Yep.
right, Yerk.
He does.
He does. All right, wonderful. Well, I just think it's wonderful to have this connection with you all the way from Central America here, United States, Northern Central United States, all the way to Belgium. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks to the wonderful time that we live in, that we can use this technique as long as we can use it, as long as we
should.
As long as we have the ability.
Yep.
So we are going to continue today in the book Codeword Barbelon, Danger in the Vatican by P.D. Stewart on page 235, almost at the half of the book. And we are dealing, as you said already, in this chapter 23, Behind 1,000 Masks, with the mask of the Knights of Columbus, since we dealt last time with the mask of the Knights of Malta. Before I even go into that, I want to tell you that the oath that the Knights of Columbus have is very similar to the one that the that the Jesuits have. It only differences in the way that when the Jesuits in their oath say against liberals, it says against Masons in the Knights of Columbus oath. Okay? But as we know that they are all controlled by the Jesuits on the top, the Knights, Papal Knights, like the Knights of Columbus, and Freemasons, we know this also to be BS. Okay?
Right.
So, I'm going to start reading then on page 235, the Knights of Columbus. And as always, Brett, you're very welcome to have a look at the footnotes and any other comment that you want to give during my reading. Okay?
That I am doing. You got it.
Good.
Yes.
We come now to the Knights of Columbus, KOC, named after that Catholic Spanish explorer whose mission was to conquer the New World, America, for the Catholic Church. This is very important that we understand word for word what P.D. Stewart writes here. It was the mission of Christopher Columbus to conquer the New World for the Catholic Church. He was not sent out, as you are told in school, to find a western sea way to the Indies. He was sent out to conquer the lands the Pope knew were there anyway, because this is the land spoken of in Revelation 13, where the beast out of the earth will come out of. And the papacy, especially the head of the papacy, Satan, knows the Bible better than any man on the world. He knew that when Columbus was sailing west, because they found everything that was to be found in the east, he knew that when they were sailing west, that they would find that country that would become the second beast of Revelation 13. It was from the beginning a mission to conquer the New World for the Catholic Church. It was a mission to get that land under the jurisdiction of the Pope in the name of Mary, the Queen of Heaven. We're going to read of that maybe a little bit later. Anyway, in 1882, a Jesuit priest, Michael J. Givney, founded a movement that has become the largest lay organization of the Catholic Church, the Knights of Columbus. Again, what? Who founded this? A Jesuit priest, Michael J. McGivney, founded a movement that has become the largest lay organization of the Catholic Church, the Knights of Columbus. So they are founded by the Jesuits. They are therefore controlled by the Jesuits, right? McGivney was educated by Jesuits at St. Mary's College in Montreal, Canada. His choice of name, Knights of Columbus, speaks for itself. The Knights of Columbus say that their work is, quote, charitable activity on behalf of the poor and suffering. Well, that's not much different from the official, quote unquote, official work of the Jesuits. But this veil of charitable activity is merely an entering wedge into the hearts and souls of the people, as is the Rotary system an entering point into Freemasonry people. It's the same. The Knights of Columbus work is principally politics, Jesuitical politics, and its purpose is Catholic outreach. As Columbus, the Spanish explorer, came to conquer America for the Pope, and Catholic Spain likewise, the Knights of Columbus are engaged in a mission to change America in the image of Rome. See prophetic statement in Revelation chapter 13, verse 14. This is what Cardinal Gibbons let slip about the true aims and purpose of the Knights of Columbus in America. Quote, if I may single out one society without prejudice to the merits of the others, I will name in particular manner that splendid organization, the Knights of Columbus. They are our joy and crown. They are the glory of Jerusalem. They are the joy of Israel. They are the honor of our people. Wherever calumny rises its foul head, they are ever ready, like true knights, to smite the enemy. Whenever an appeal is made in the cause of religion or charity, they are always foremost in lending a helping hand. Unquote. By His quote-unquote eminence, James Cardinal Gibbons, from 1919. Now, I prepared a little comment on this because when I glanced over the page, I just saw the word Jerusalem. In the quote of Cardinal Gibbons, it says, they are the glory of Jerusalem. Now, shall I tell you, do you want to know what Jerusalem in this world actually is? In Martin Luther's opinion, as we can read on page 30 in the wonderful book Rulers of Evil by F. Tupper Saucy, Martin Luther quotes concerning Jerusalem, quote, as far as God is concerned, Jerusalem and all the Holy Land are not one whit more or less interesting than the cows in Switzerland. Unquote.
I love that quote. I should insert that picture with the cows up in the mountains.
Yeah, you can.
I used that one in All Roads Lead to Rome, I think, or something. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, why not? That's a good idea, you know?
Yeah.
Good idea.
Fits perfect.
So there is no Holy Land in this Antichrist world. If anything is holy, only one can make it holy, and that is our Creator God in heaven, Jesus Christ or his Father, our Father who is in heaven. Only those two are holy, and only he who is holy can make something holy. Yeah?
Oh, man, it's just incredible when you think about the futurist agenda and how it all ties into all of this. This statement the bishop made here, just incredible.
Yeah, it is. Actually, you know, Brett, when we were starting reading this book, Codeword Barbelon, we were actually opening the box of Pandora.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. We're deep in there now.
Yeah,
way down in the corner, man.
Well, we can't get out of there anymore because we need a lot of swords to take all the heads of the Hydra.
Yeah, it's
And
hideous,
when you
isn't it?
slay one head, two come popping up.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Maybe even 3 sometimes.
Yeah, that's why when reading a book like this, you need to put on the whole armor of God. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18.
Hmm.
I just love that quote in the Bible.
Yeah, you're right. That's what it's all about. You pull out the sword and you just start using it.
Yeah,
The sword of the Spirit is the only one that really works.
without the Bible, Brett, reading a book like this is worth nothing.
That's right. It is. It's worthless. I agree.
Now, in the quote, he refers to Jerusalem, and that's what inspired me to read to you that quote from Martin Luther that you can check in the book Rulers of Evil. But he also speaks about smiting the enemy, like true knights. They smite the enemy. Smite the enemy? Why? Who do the knights regard as the enemy then? As we read earlier, in 2004, President Bush Jr. referred to the knights as soldiers working to change America. Pope John Paul II likewise called them the right lay arm of the Catholic Church in America. 3 years earlier, in 2001, when Bush addressed the 119th Annual Supreme Council of the Knights of Columbus, he reminded them that they were the strong right arm of the church. You know, the Knights of Columbus are one arm of the Catholic Church. The Jesuits are another. The Jesuits founded the Knights of Columbus. And Islam is also another strong arm of the Catholic Church without even understanding it. They are doing the bidding of the Roman Catholic Church in Islam. And it also is a very militant organization because Islam calls for war against anybody who is not a believer in that religion. So it is a military kind of organization, kind of religion, I'd like to say. But we're dealing now with the Knights of Columbus. But here, Bush says, you are the strong right arm of the church. Reader, do you not see the significance of this? First, President Bush refers to the Knights as soldiers working to change America. And by the way, wasn't that the slogan of the president that came after President Bush? Change,
Yeah.
you can believe in. Yes, we can. Ring a bell somewhere?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No.
Isn't it funny when they turn that tape backwards that they did, that propaganda song they did? They played it backwards and it was "Thank You, Satan" or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, oh, geez.
But let me just say, Brett, this slogan, to change America and change you can believe in, was just trumped into the heads of the American people.
Oh, yeah, and we bought it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was
we bought
trumped
it.
in, you understand?
Sure, you bet. Yeah, it really was. No, and there, you know, I mean, you know, in politics, you know, in that realm, there's nothing but trouble there.
Well, that's true.
Nothing but trouble. You know, I didn't learn that till, you know, years after. And then it's like, oh, this is really what it's about. This is really just a bunch of, you know what? A big pile of it.
Yeah. Okay, so, reader, do you not see the significance of this? First, President Bush refers to the Knights as soldiers working to change America. And next, the Pope calls them the right lay arm of the Catholic Church in America. If we put these two statements together, we can say that the Knights of Columbus are the right lay arm of the Catholic Church in America, whose mission is to change America for the Pope. That is the problem with not only people of the United States of America, because people in other countries are as gullible as they are. But when a presidential candidate comes up with a slogan like change we need and change we can believe in and change is all we're going to do and change this and change that, nobody, I think, ever dared to ask the question at the time, change what?
Yeah.
Yeah? They were all so inflamed by this slogan of change that they didn't even ask or question, change what?
Yeah. Well,
And
there's so
here,
many different ideologies going around
yeah, but
that
here,
election of Barack Obama, you know.
but here the author tells us it is to change America. And to change America into what? Well, for the Pope. And you know why?
Yeah, the mission for the
Well,
Pope.
when you go back to other historical readings like the book Rulers of Evil and the Ark and the Dove and all that, then you understand that America was the chosen, quote unquote, the chosen country of the Pope to bring back England under the fold of the Roman Catholic Church. They couldn't get England back under the fold of the Roman Catholic Church. They couldn't do it with the Spanish Armada. They couldn't do it with the Babington Plot. They couldn't do it with the Gunpowder Plot. They had to do something else. So they got the colonies and founding the United States of America, and now subtly changing the United States America into a 100% pure Catholic country was their aim from the beginning. That's why America is the second beast of Revelation 13.
It clearly is, yeah.
Yeah. And by having America, they will also, of course, get England. And the saying goes that when Protestantism in England is dead, Protestantism is dead all over the world. And how Protestant is England today? The ecumenical movement has done its work. Yeah?
Yeah,
so
that's
the
right.
Knights of Columbus are the right lay arm of the Catholic Church in America, whose mission is to change America for the Pope, to annihilate Protestantism that was ruling in the time of the founding of the nation of the United States of America, because at that time 1.8% of the population only was Roman Catholic. Today, 35% of the American population is Roman Catholic. And then, of course, you have to count all the evangelibellies, the ecumenical evangelibellies, and that makes a majority of at least 70% of the American population who are, in their way of thinking, not a lot of the people, not in their way of understanding, but in their way of thinking and acting, Roman Catholic.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
A lot of damage in that department.
Yeah. When President Bush addressed the 172nd convocation of the Knights of Columbus on August 3rd, 2004, he said of its Supreme Commander, Carl Anderson, quote, "I appreciate Carl Anderson and his leadership. I've gotten to know Carl because, you see, he's more than just an introducer of presidents." Laughter. "He's a person who works with presidents." Quote. Bush then corrected the slip-up by saying, "At least this president. And I'm proud to have his help." So this Knight of Columbus works with presidents, and Bush has him as his helper? Bush went on to speak in a most servile tone that you would be forgiven for thinking that he owned his presidency to these men. "Sir Knights, quote, I am proud to be here with Cardinal McCarrick. I appreciate Cardinal Egan. I appreciate Cardinal Regali, Cardinal Francis George of Chicago, Cardinal Keeler of Baltimore, Maryland. I'm honored you all are here. Thank you for your presence. I am honored to be in the presence of Cardinal Makarski and the Bishop of Krakow, who succeeded the Holy Father," referring to Pope John Paul II, who was once Cardinal of Krakow in Poland, "in that role. I appreciate Bishop Wilton Gregory's leadership on the Conference of Catholic Bishops. I appreciate your eminences and your excellencies, reverends, and monsignors." Unquote. Bush continues, quote, "I am proud to say that my family has contributed to your ranks. A few years ago, Governor Jeb, applause, became a knight. Yeah, that's Jeb Bush. Applause. And he recently took his 3rd degree. Again, applause. I'll see him this weekend. I'll pass on the word, aim for the 4th degree. Laughter and applause. People don't even understand what he's saying.
No.
Bush then made a very revealing remark. Oh, more revealing than what he just said? I am proud to be here with Catholic McCarrick. I appreciate Cardinal Egan. I appreciate Cardinal Regali. He is even more revealing than this. Quote, we are making progress here in America. I appreciate the Knights of Columbus stand on the federal judiciary. I have nominated superb men and women for the federal benches who will strictly and fully interpret the law according to the Catholic values, or else the Knights would not work with them, of course. Between brackets we read. And the quote ends with, for the federal benches who will strictly and fully interpret the law. What more proof do you want that Bush is an agent of the Pope? That speech that he just gave, I appreciate Cardinal Egan, Regali, and so on, and so on, and so on. Is that a speech that you would expect from a Protestant president? Brett?
No, not at all. Of course, they just use the word Protestant these days. Little do we know what Protestant really means.
If George W. Bush really was a Protestant, as he claimed to be, then he should not have said, I am proud to be here with Cardinal McCarrick. I appreciate Cardinal Egan. He should say, I damn Cardinal Egan. I damn Cardinal Regali. I damn Cardinal Francis George of Chicago and all the others cardinals who are here. I damn them and I call them out for being sinister ministers of the synagogue of Satan. That's what a real Protestant president would say. But that's something that you, of course, will never hear.
No, you'll never hear.
But still, what more proof do you want that Bush is an agent of the Pope? In 1988, President Bush's father, George H.W. Bush Sr., during the latter's acceptance speech of the Republican Convention in New Orleans, referred to the Knights of Columbus as belonging to 1,000 points of light. Quote, this is America. The Knights of Columbus, the Grange, Hadassah, the Order of Ahippa, LULAC, all secret societies, a brilliant diversity spread like stars, like 1,000 points of light in a broad and peaceful sky. Unquote. Now notice this statement made by H.G. Wells, a 33rd degree Mason, in his book Experiment in Autobiography. Quote, the organization of this that I call the open conspiracy, a planned world state, it is appearing partially and experimentally at 1,000 points. The new plan in America. Unquote. Now consider then why it was that after making this his speech in 1988, George Bush Sr. would repeat the same phrase in his State of the Union address on Tuesday, January 9th, 1991. Quote, we have within our reach the promise of renewed America, a shining purpose, the illumination of 1,000 points of light. The winds of change are with us now. Unquote. Not only did Bush repeat the 1,000 points of light, he used a phrase similar to H.G. Wells. Bush spoke of a renewed America, and Wells calls it the new plan in America. Bush has tried to explain away his frequent use of 1,000 points of light as being merely a reference to all the community organizations that are spread like stars throughout the nation, doing good. but consider the following by the occultist Alice A. Bailey, who referred to it as the force of light, quoting, the organizing of the men and women for a new order, the world of the brotherhood, the forces of light, out of the spoliation of all existing culture and civilization, the new world order must be built. Unquote. And we read that in the externalization of the hierarchy from Lucis Trust, Lucis Publishing, formerly known as Lucifer Publishing. And I did a video in the time of Nothing But the Truth of several hours. I don't know how many, because I think there are at least 2 broadcasts up on the playlist, Nothing But the Truth, about the externalization of the hierarchy, where we go through 9 different points, or 9 or 10 different points. The 10 satanic commandments of the United Nations. That, of course, was built on the externalization of the hierarchy by Alice A. Bailey. Alice A. Bailey, who was the successor in theosophy of Helena Petrova Blavatsky.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
Within each human being, said Bailey, is a point of light. Alice Bailey's cryptic statement was published in the same year H.G. Wells wrote about this 1,000 points of light. Alice Bailey's book was published by, wait for it, Lucis Trust, formerly called the Lucifer Publishing Company, as I just told you already. It would seem that this expression, 1,000 points of light, or point of light, is a code word amongst the New World Order globalists. And, according to Bush, the Knights of Columbus is a part of this cabal for a renewed America. This term renewal, used by H.G. Wells and George Bush, was also the coded keyword of the Archbishop of New York. On September 23, 1996, with over 3,000 faithful gathered in the Cathedral of the Holy Trinity on 74th Street, New York, to celebrate the enthronement of Archbishop Spyridon, the Archbishop told the audience, quote, "Only by renewal do we grow. Only by renewal do we improve. Only by renewal do we become more worthy of our Father." Unquote. And who is the Father that he is referring to? The Holy Father of the Roman Catholic Church, not the Father of heaven.
Yeah,
yeah?
That's right.
What a lot of people don't understand. The one where the devil hides behind in the mask.
Yeah, that's it.
This is a very interesting little part. Renewal. Renewal is the reason why you have the butterfly, for example, being a symbol of the New World Order, because we are going through the transition. That is also with a butterfly, when he is quote unquote born again. First being a how do you say that? What is that first? This how do you call this animal? I don't know. Raupe, we say in German. I don't come to that. And then it spins its cocoon, and when it comes out, it is a
a caterpillar.
A caterpillar, right? Yeah,
that's it.
First a caterpillar, and then a butterfly. This is the renewal. This is this born again thing. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
And that's something that you have to understand. The New World Order speech, of course, and also this refers to the evolution theory. Because only by renewal you will have the stronger that will survive the weaker.
Yeah, and then you have the pre-programming stuff too, with all that crazy, chemical mind control stuff that they're pumping into people. The Project Monarch and all that stupid.
Yeah.
All that
what do you think why it is called Project Monarch, and Monarch is a butterfly,
Yeah, that's it. Yep, that's exactly it.
That's just the point that I wanted to make. Once you are busy with this Kabbalistic thing, you understand a lot of things more
it just
more
keeps
easy.
Going and going and going and going. imagery and all that stuff, marketing and
Did you
ideology.
did you see this movie about this this end time apocalypse, this zombie movie with this black actor?
No.
Oh, what's his name? He's also acting in this movie, Men in Black.
No, I stay away from those movies unless there's something that compels me to watch them.
Yeah, it's a movie about a post-apocalyptic world because they invent some kind of vaccine that can prevent cancer and that kills out 99% of the world's population. And then this black guy is one of the only survivors. He's the only one that you see in the beginning, and there also in the end is a scene that plays with a butterfly. And that speaks about the change from man to that zombie, you know? So that's very important. When you understand this, then you understand the symbolics of that. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was the television series he played first. He was a rapper.
Oh, okay.
He was a rap musician.
Yep.
He's got 2 children.
I stay away from that like the plague.
Me too. But you know, I know this from my former life. And
sure.
And then he played the he played the leading role in that zombie apocalypse movie. Anyway, Will Smith, that's his name.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Will Smith. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe
there are times where I could have stomached it, you know, but I never did. You know, I
just don't come to remember that name anymore. But he's there, the savior of the world. Anyway,
sure.
It's just because at the end they deal with this butterfly thing,
right?
And
right. And they make a big deal out of it.
That's what left in my hand. I didn't understand it at that time, you know.
No.
But now when I read these things, I get the hidden message of that movie.
Yeah, isn't that interesting how that works?
Yeah. Exactly. That's just what I wanted to share, because there are maybe some people who are watching this video, Brett, and have the same thing and didn't understand that, but when they lay the connection that I tell them right here, all of a sudden
there are many other things in movies that we could relate to this too. But that's a really good example right there.
Okay, so let's continue here. Having made these observations, we turn to the book Romanism, A Menace to the Nation, where we read these revealing words about the Knights of Columbus. And that book is, by the way, from Jeremiah J. Crowley. Quote, "They are the heart and soul of politics. All non-Catholic candidates must receive the approval of Rome and the Knights of Columbus before they dare nominate them for either dog pound or presidency. The Knights of Columbus' principal business is politics, Jesuitical politics," unquote. Now here, Jeremiah J. Crowley writes that when you are going to jump into your car and drive to the voting ballot every 4 years to give your vote to a new quote-unquote president of the country that you live in, that it is all rigged. Because every candidate must receive the approval of Rome and the Knights of Columbus before they are dared nominate for presidency. You can't even become the local dog catcher if you are not approved by the Knights of Columbus. That's how they rule. That's why you can work literally your ass off and get nowhere. Because you're not approved by the Knights of Columbus, except that you are accepting their rules of engagement. And because most people don't have any idea and don't even want to do that, they are poor. In your country and in my country and in all countries around the world.
That's right.
You know, the people who will make it are chosen. There is no one There is no one who has ever worked himself up from the so-called, we have over here in Europe this understanding. Oh, when you go to America, then you go first into somewhere and wash dishes, and then you become a millionaire. That is not happening if you don't sell your soul to the devil first.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
That's really what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
If you don't have the approval of Rome, if you don't have the approval of the Knights of Rome, the Knights of Columbus in this case, you don't get anywhere.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment here.
Yeah, please. And when you want to have the approval of Rome, you have to have the approval of the devil. You have to sell your soul to the devil. Otherwise, you don't get anywhere. That you have to understand. But please,
it's like that paragraph you just read, Jörg, about George Bush praising the Knights of Columbus here.
Yeah, I appreciate Cardinal Regali, Francis George, and so on, yeah?
Oh, yeah. And then at the end here, we're making progress here in America. I appreciate the Knights of Columbus stand on the federal judiciary. I have nominated superb men and women for the federal benches who will strictly and fully, the real word is pervert, the law.
Yeah.
Fully pervert the law.
Yeah, that's an explanation
according
of how
to the
it comes.
Catholic values, or else the Knights would not work with him.
Yeah.
See, it's all about perverting the people.
That is an admission, Brett, of why there is not one Protestant on the Supreme Court of the United States of America.
Yeah, but see how that one word, interpret, it's not about interpreting. It's about
perverting.
Controlling you. Yeah, pervert. Let's pervert you. Oh, yes, you can have whatever you want, Johnny. Just go right out and take it. Because you deserve it. See how that works? We just take them over by their doctrine and we got the whole thing. And it's so easy to do because that's what the natural man wants. See, all we got to do is tap in to what the natural man wants because that's so against the Bible anyway. You see how this works? It's really easy to pervert a whole nation from being really Protestant to being quote unquote Protestant. Yeah, a perverted Protestant. That's what we have, a nation of perverted Protestants. That's where I live. We believe in God, but what God is it? What doctrine is it? What doctrine is that God? It's a Catholic one. It's a universal one. And man, the world is deceived. Totally.
It surely is, yeah.
Sad.
Nice that you are going back to this little sentence here and change the word interpret by
I thought it was the perfect time to do it. I was gonna make that comment earlier, but I just didn't fit. And you were talking about the same principle, so I thought I'd just apply that because it's the same thing. It really is. This Jesuitical politics.
Yeah, Jesuitical politics. I'm going to repeat that quote from Jeremiah J. Crowley once again. It is really something that you have to understand well and let it sink in a little bit. And as I always say, when you are overwhelmed with this, then just pause the video, go outside, smoke a cigarette or have a little run or a little walk, whatever you do for relaxing, and then come back and then play the video again with this little quote and let it really sink in that you understand it. They are, and speaking about the Knights of Columbus in this case, they are at the heart and soul of politics. All non-Catholic politicians, because Catholic politicians are organized in Catholic organizations anyway, like the Knights of Columbus. All non-Catholic politicians, candidates, must receive the approval of Rome and the Knights of Columbus before they dare nominate them for either dog pound or presidency. The Knights of Columbus' principal business is politics, Jesuitical politics. And now I'm rushing a little bit over this repeating of this quote because I want to tell you something else. In the 1960s, when the first American Catholic president was chosen, who you know under the name of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. When he wanted to get elected, he traveled from Washington, where he lived, to Texas, to a meeting of Protestant ministers in churches, promising them that he will not abide to the Pope of Rome. And thereby he got the votes of the Protestants. Otherwise, he would not have become that easily elected president as a Catholic. Now, some 40 years later, a little bit less than that, George W. Bush, who lived in Texas, went to Washington to promise the Catholics that he will put his presidency under the yoke of Rome, or under the yoke of the Pope in Rome. And that's why he got elected, because he was not a quote-unquote official Catholic. He was, as Jeremiah Crowley calls it here, a non-Catholic politician who had, of course, then the approval of Rome. So he went from Texas to Washington to assure the Catholics that he would do their bidding, and that's why he got their appraisal, and that's why he was elected president. Or should I have said selected? You know?
Right. It's interesting that this this quote from Crowley here, it says in the footnote here, Crowley was a Roman priest for 21 years.
Yep.
Hmm.
Like so
So
many
then
others
he
who
converted?
came. Yeah,
He
probably like
converted
so
to
many others who came out of
Protestantism
that.
then? Yeah.
Why should he write things like this as still
Yeah.
being a Roman Catholic? I mean,
No,
just look at Richard Bennett, for example.
That's
Just look
right.
at Charles Chiniquy. We have
That's
examples.
right.
We have
Some of the
examples.
best Protestants.
Yeah, we have examples of
Absolute
people
best
who
Protestants are
got
just
shook out of that out of
Romanists
the
that are
church,
on
right?
fire. They're just
Yeah.
they've been bearing that brunt for too long, and they know it so well.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
God really takes care of Revelation 18, verse 4, being implied
Oh,
to some of the
yes.
people that we read of here and that we speak of here,
That's
like Richard Bennett and like Alberto
Absolutely.
Rivera, who was
Yeah.
even a high-ranking Jesuit before he went to quote-unquote the other side, before he found the truth and before God woke him up. You know?
Well, you know, and there's a lot of false information, and you know, if you want to believe it, you can, and you can believe that Alberto Rivera was just a you know, Roman Catholic hater that was not a real Jesuit, but you know, it doesn't appear that way to me. The research I've done, and especially the speeches that he made were just spirit filled, Yerk.
Yeah,
I don't
I agree.
see them being fake,
No, I
especially
agree.
in the spirit of the Lord.
I agree, and I also did some research into Alberto Rivera, and I know of his son and of his wife. And his wife, for example, gave a testimony that he was killed by his dentist. And that dentist planned that 2 times, and just the second time it succeeded. And he was killed in the way the Jesuits just love to kill. He was poisoned, you know? And that's what
You
the
know,
Jesuits do.
there's something about dentists, Yerk. I don't know, man. You know, when I was young, I had this dentist. I just really despised going there. I always did, because I could tell there's just something about the way those offices are run.
I had a butcher as a dentist when I was a child.
Oh, they are. They're butchers. That's what they are. Yeah, you got it.
He imputed so much fear into me that I never wanted to go to a dentist again, and that's why I had lack of dental care, and I pay for that
Right.
now when I'm older. Now that I'm 52 almost, I pay for that. But
I know.
that's
It's
because,
a tough deal.
and my mother even says that was a very bad dentist. She shouldn't have let me gone there. But yeah, you know, did she know better at that time? Probably not. Otherwise, she wouldn't have sent me there. But you know, when you're
these
bringing up
things happen.
when you are bringing up the the example of dentists. There is a movie that maybe you saw that is called Marathon Man.
Oh, yeah, that rings a bell.
And Dustin Hoffman plays the lead role. And I only saw that movie once because I couldn't stand to watch it again, I think.
Oh,
He is being tortured by a dental specialist. And those scenes, it sends shivers down my spine for now, even thinking of that. And I saw that movie some 30 years or some ago. It's an old movie. It's from the 70s, I think. Marathon Man.
Right.
With Dustin Hoffman, who has been chased and persecuted for I don't know what reason anymore. I don't know that movie anymore. But he is being tortured with dental apparature by a specialist in that. And when you have this experience, as I had as a child, with a quote-unquote butcher as a dentist, and then you watch a movie like that, that is really not good for your health, you know?
No, it's not.
It's not good for your mental health.
That's it. Yeah, right. Exactly.
That really left a very strong impression on me, I'm sorry to say. And as long as we talk about these things, well, these bring up memories, you know. And
oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those kind of memories, you know. And I can imagine, you know, just the multitudes and multitudes of souls like us here that are experiencing the same thing, not knowing where it comes from and why. You know, maybe they stumble across our videos.
Well,
and you can share your comments. You know,
there's always a chance. You know, when a German who is about my age, I think he's 2 years younger than me, or even he is my age. I don't know. Yeah. This Michael that I told you of in the beginning of this broadcast.
Yeah.
When even he, who is living at the border of Germany with Netherlands, comes to these videos through a video that he sees me doing in Dutch with Periwinkle, there's hope for everybody to come out and find these things, you know.
That's right.
We should never underestimate the power of God, you know, who still is sovereign, who chooses and who has his sheep everywhere.
Yep.
And using us to awake some people, you know, using us to angry some people without any doubt, because not everybody will take that gratefully, the work that we are doing here with reading and explaining the book Codeword Barbelon and other work that we are doing. But there are also a lot of people who are grateful for that. And we should never...
So, you know, anger is kind of an interesting thing, because sometimes if you can overcome that anger and focus it on the right target, you're going to be much better off in the long run. You know, if you can overcome this anger that's been embedded into our personalities, you know, and it's only the Lord that can do that. I'm saying, you know,
I think the most important thing is that we remember that anger is not a good feeling, because anger can lead to hatred.
Oh yes,
and
I agree.
We should always be aware of the wiles of the devil.
Yep.
And equipping us with feelings like that is a danger. That we can leave the small path that leads to salvation, because we will leave the path of the Bible. God says, "Revenge is mine," says the Lord. So, yeah, to be angry is one thing, but to be hateful is another. And for a lot of people in this world, this is just a fine line. But to be angry is all right, because even Jesus was angry when he was walking the earth.
There we go.
He kicked the table.
As long as it's not without a cause, right?
Yeah, he kicked the table.
The Bible
of money
says
changers
if you're
in the temple,
angry with your brother without a cause, then you should fear the judgment. You know,
exactly.
You should fear the Lord. Fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That's the point,
Brett. Good point.
Yep.
But Jesus,
not us.
But
Lord.
Jesus was angry when he kicked the tables of the money changers in the temple.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. And
yes,
rightfully so. Yeah. And we should never ever go down that path that the evangelibellies do, the ecumenical evangelibellies do, who only speak of the love gospel. Jesus was only loving and
Oh,
kind.
yeah, they don't have any bad news. That's the real deal.
You know, Jesus.
They don't give the people the bad news.
Yeah. Jesus
about the Antichrist.
Jesus was righteous, and to righteousness also belongs the part that you are angry when you see the truth being trampled down with the foot.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's what Jesus was, and I applaud him for that. He was not all
indignation,
lovey-dovey or whatever you want to call it. He's righteous, and to that also belongs punishment of the wicked. Yeah, and that's also part of the kingdom of God. That you don't enter that when you are wicked. Yeah, but having anger is good, but you have to be very carefully, because when you are starting to feel angry, the devil has an easy entry in controlling you. Because a lot of people are not spiritually that, let's say it in another way. A lot of people are still drinking milk instead of eating meat.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And when you are not used to meat, well, then it only does not taste very well, but second of all, you cannot digest it very well. And when you cannot digest it and it leads to anger and frustration, well, that's the wiles of the devil. There, he's got you.
Mm-hmm.
So always build yourself upon the Bible, of the true Word of God, the 1611 authorized version of the King James Bible. That's it. Because otherwise, you will go, like Jeremiah J. Crowley says here, the path that leads up to approval of Rome and approval of the Knights of Columbus, even when you want to become a dog catcher, let alone be president. The Knights of Columbus' principal business is Jesuitical politics.
Simple as that.
It is said that after the Pope decreed the Catholics were forbidden from joining Freemasonry, the Knights of Columbus was formed as a Catholic alternative. On August 28, 1912, the Chester Republican published an editorial regarding the Butler-Bonneville contentions mentioned earlier in the chapter in the extreme oaths of the Jesuits. The newspaper cited the said Jesuit oath was being the very one taken by the Knights of Columbus, of which body Mr. Bonneville was a member. Life magazine, May 27, 1957, reported that even back then, there were already more than 1 million practicing Catholics who made up the ranks of the Knights of Columbus, who, Jack Chick says, quote, are fraternally pledged to the ideal of bringing America under papal rule, unquote. And since the oath of the Knights of Columbus is virtually identical to that of the Jesuits, as I said in the beginning of this broadcast, might we not expect the same methods from them? Writes Lady Queensborough on, quote, a close study of the ancient order of Hibernians and the Knights of Columbus, one cannot fail to see the control that Freemasonry exercises over the Irish Roman Catholic Church, unquote. And Masonry, at its highest levels, as we shall see, is Jesuitism. Bang! And with that bang, we're going to end the broadcast for today. Because next time we go into another secret society founded by the Jesuits, a secret society within themselves called God's Work, or in Latin, Opus Dei. This is a last little sentence you have to digest. Masonry, as at its highest levels, as we shall see, is Jesuitism. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, Helena Petrova Blavatsky, in Whether Isis Unveiled or the Secret Doctrine, who reveals that when you trace Masonry from the lowest up to the highest levels, you come out at the General of the Society of Jesus.
That's right.
And this is what P.D. Stewart is going to prove in the rest of this book. We have come to page 240, where we continue, 239, where we will continue next time in Opus Dei, and probably go into the Knights of Peter Claver, who was one of the founders of the Jesuit order. And let's see. Whenever we can do that, I don't know when Brett has time, when I have time, when we can come together, but it will be shortly, I guess. And in the meantime, Brett can produce a little bit videos on this wonderful series and upload that next to Behind the Dictators on his channel, which also is a series that you should not miss, even though I recorded that in the summer of 2016, so that's about almost 2 years ago, and I know now much more than I knew then, but, you know, only because I read that in other books. If I would read that book today again, it would probably be even more interesting. But I'm going to tell you, go to Brett's YouTube channel and check out the reading that he uploads there of Behind the Dictators. And especially make sure that the second video you will take a hard copy of from the internet. Because on my channel, that video already is flagged. The title of that is...
Jesuits, Jews, and Freemasons.
Thank you. Jesuits, Jews, and Freemasons. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yes, Jörg. And I wanted to just quick make a comment to you about that. I was thinking last night, actually, it just struck me that maybe you really should re-record it, repost it, and see if it would stay up. I don't know. It's just an idea. But you could add that back in the playlist, couldn't you?
Yeah, sure. That's not the problem. But, you know, why?
Yeah, but why would you need to? That's the other, you know, you don't really need to, because it's still there and people can still access it. They just need to give consent. It won't autoplay.
When you want to click on the video, you just get a warning that this video has been flagged, but it is up to you whether you continue to go to the video or you dismiss it. I advise you to go to the video because everything that I say there is just a book reading of Leo Herbert Lehman's book. Which,
yeah. The point is, there's enough people that are ticked off that don't want to hear it. You know?
Yeah, of course, and therefore it is no wonder that it is flagged. You know,
right?
This is the beginning. This is the beginning of censorship.
Yes, I mean, it is.
When we are speaking about censorship, I am not a follower of Michael Adams, and I'm talking about that Michael Adams from Natural News.
Yes.
You know, I'm not a follower of him, but I like a lot of his work. But I know that he is controlled opposition. I know that he works together with Alex Jones. But they took down his whole YouTube channel of Natural News a few days ago. Deleted 1,700 videos that he had on there. He's completely gone from YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And that also is, you know, a way of control and censorship.
Sure.
And that is why, Brett, we should actually embrace every moment that we have talking via Skype and doing these sessions of reading of Codeword Barbelon or whatever we are going to do. And we should really embrace that and appreciate it that we still have the possibility and to put these videos out. Who knows when the next one comes along and flex another of my videos, and you know my channel is gone with 3 of those strikes within 3 months.
Oh yeah, it certainly could happen.
And you have no way of defending yourself. You can write, I think, about 100 words in your defense, and you don't even know who your accuser is and what are you accused of. It's like in the Inquisition. Because in the Inquisition, you didn't know what you were accused of, what your crime was. You didn't know who accused you.
That's right.
And that's just the same with this YouTube thing. So
that's right.
Whenever you are watching this video and you think there's something in it that you can use for understanding and learning, make a hard copy, download it, and save it on an extra disk that is not connected to your computer. Because things like these will be rare in the future. Okay?
Yeah, they're just going to get rarer and rarer as we go. Yeah, and they're rare as it is right now, Jörg. I really must say, it's not to boast or anything. The truth is a tough message, and not many people are capable of even comprehending it, sadly, because we've been deceived so badly that we don't even look into our doctrine anymore. I mean, this is what's crept into the church. This is what's completely put the nose of the church in the dirt, in the mud, in the muck. And it can't get, the church itself can't get up. It can't get out of that muck. It's stuck in it eternally. We need to get out. And these are the doctrines that keep everyone going. We need to come out of that doctrine. Find the pure doctrine of the 1611 King James Bible. It's the only one.
Revelation 18, verse 4. Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Because God hath remembered her iniquities.
Yep, her sins have reached up into heaven. That's right.
Okay, Brett, let's bring this broadcast to an end. We have already
all right.
past the hour. And let's see when we can come together again. I enjoyed myself very much, as always, and probably will do for the next reading of Opus Dei in this book.
Great.
Again,
thank you, Jörg, for your time and energy. And we'll just close it down, I guess, then.
Okay.
And all roads lead to Rome. Right?
Yeah, there's only a very small road that leads to the kingdom of God.
Yeah, that's it.
But
in this world, forget it.
Yeah.
It's toast.
That for the first time in human history, for the first time in all of human history, almost all of mankind is politically awake. And these new and old major powers face still yet another novel reality, in some respects unprecedented. And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. I once put it rather pungently, and I was flattered that the British Foreign Secretary repeated this, as follows. Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people. Literally, it was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
We're at the very beginning stages of a very brutal and bloody conflict. And I believe that we've come horribly off track in the years since the fall of the Soviet Union. And we're starting now in the 21st century, which I believe strongly is a crisis both of our church, a crisis of our faith, a crisis of the West, and a crisis of capitalism.
His son Jesus is here in our midst. His bride, the church, is honored to host an event affirming the dignity of the human person, the sacredness of all human life.
I think Russia is no longer a communist state, first of all. That's very important to realize. It hasn't yet defined itself, however, effectively as a democracy. It is still uncertain.
We're at the very beginning stages of a very brutal and bloody conflict, of which if the people in this room and the people in the church do not bind together and really form what I feel is an aspect of the church militant, if the people in this room and the people in the church do not bind together and really form what I feel is an aspect of the church militant, to really be able to not just stand with our beliefs, but to fight for our beliefs against this new barbarity that's starting, that we will literally eradicate everything that we've been bequeathed over the last 2,025 years.
You didn't mention the president by name, but it was hard not to conclude that that's who you were referring to. Is that fair?
I was certainly referring to the threats that we are now facing with this stated goals of this administration, which would upset the last 70 years of a new world order, which was established after World War II. 70 years based on human rights, respect for the law, free trade, all of the things, aspects of this world order that took place after one of the most horrific, terrible wars in history, and I'm for maintaining it.
We are grateful to be citizens of one nation under God, who acclaim this evening that in God we trust. Bless our two candidates, our benefactors, and those whom the L. Smith Foundation has been honored to serve for 7 decades. Guide us safely home, both this evening and for all eternity, through Christ our Lord. Amen.